Wealth doesn't begin in the wallet. It begins in the mind. The difference between those who consistently succeed and those who struggle isn't always talent, education, or even luck. It's perspective. The wealthy think differently. They see opportunity where others see risk. They treat time like the most valuable asset they own. And here's the secret. Anyone can learn to think that way. Thinking like the wealthy isn't about arrogance or greed. It's about responsibility and vision. It's about asking, how can I grow? How can I serve? How can I multiply what I have? The wealthy don't waste mental energy on what they can't control. They focus on what they can influence right now. But thinking alone is not enough. The wealthy pair their thinking with daily, deliberate action. They don't just plan big, they work small every day. They know that every great fortune is built one disciplined decision at a time. You don't become successful because of one giant leap. You become successful because of hundreds of small steps in the right direction. And here's the interesting part. When you think like the wealthy and act daily, something begins to happen. You start attracting success, not because of magic or luck, but because success naturally gravitates toward those who are prepared, consistent, and confident. Opportunities see your discipline and knock on your door. People notice your results and want to work with you. Your reputation starts doing the heavy lifting. This mindset isn't reserved for a select few. Anyone, regardless of background, age, or current bank account, can adopt the principles of wealth building. You can train yourself to think in terms of abundance, to take daily actions toward your goals, and to position yourself as a magnet for success. So start today. Don't wait until you feel ready. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Begin thinking like the wealthy. Protect your time, guard your mindset, and focus on growth. Then act daily. Do the work, sharpen your skills, and take consistent steps. And soon, you'll find that success isn't chasing someone else, it's chasing you. Wealth begins in the mind before it ever appears in the bank. Long before the numbers in your account grow, something has to grow inside you. It's your vision, your belief, your attitude toward opportunity. If the mind is poor, the bank account will eventually follow that pattern. But if the mind is rich with ideas, discipline, and determination, the money has a place to arrive. Here's the truth most people don't realize: money is a reflection. It reflects the value you've created, the discipline you've practiced, and the mindset you've cultivated. Think about it. If you hand a fortune to someone with a poverty mindset, it won't be long before that fortune is gone. On the other hand, give a small amount to someone with a wealth mindset, and they'll find a way to grow it. That's why so many lottery winners go broke, while many self-made millionaires started with almost nothing. The difference isn't the cash, it's the consciousness. When you start thinking like a wealthy person, you stop seeing money as just paper or numbers. You start seeing it as a tool, a servant that works for you. You begin asking better questions. How can I make this dollar produce another dollar? How can I multiply my results? How can I invest my time so it pays me back later? This is the language of wealth, and it's spoken in the mind before it's lived in reality. Your beliefs about money matter more than your current balance. If you believe money is scarce, you'll act in ways that keep it scarce. Hesitating on opportunities, underselling your value, hoarding instead of growing. If you believe money is abundant for those who provide value, you'll move differently. You'll look for ways to serve, ways to solve problems, and ways to create something worth paying for. The wealthy understand something most overlooked. Money doesn't come first. Value comes first. And value begins with ideas, creativity, and the courage to act. That's why you must train your mind daily. Read things that expand your thinking. Surround yourself with people who challenge you to aim higher. Feed your mind with possibilities instead of limitations. It's not enough to simply wish for wealth. Wishes are soft. Wealth requires resolve. It demands that you carry yourself like someone who is building something worthwhile, even before the world notices. You have to see yourself as capable before you can convince anyone else. You have to expect more from yourself before you can earn more from others. There's a certain confidence that comes from a wealthy mind. Not arrogance, but a calm assurance. It's the kind of confidence that makes you willing to invest in yourself, to take calculated risks, and to keep going when results are slow. A wealthy mind doesn't panic when the numbers dip. It adjusts, learns, and moves forward, because it knows that the real source of wealth isn't the account. It's the ability to create again and again. That's why some people can lose everything and rebuild faster the second time. They didn't lose the mindset that created the wealth in the first place. The skills, the vision, the discipline, those stay with you no matter what's in your wallet. That's the real treasure. So if you want to see more in your bank, start by putting more in your head. Learn a skill that makes you valuable. Develop habits that make you dependable. Build a reputation that opens doors. And above all, refuse to think small about your potential. Small thinking keeps you broke, not just financially, but in every area of life. If your mind is rich, your future will be too. Maybe not overnight, maybe not without challenges, but inevitably. Because wealth begins as an invisible seed, planted in the soil of your thoughts, watered by your actions, and harvested by your persistence. Tend to your mind daily, and it won't be long before your bank account starts catching up. The wealthy focus on opportunities, not just obstacles. It's not that they don't see the obstacles, they do. In fact, they often see them more clearly than most people. But they've trained their minds to look beyond the problem and search for the possibility hidden inside it. They understand that every challenge carries within it the seed of potential gain if you know how to look for it. Most people stop at the first sign of difficulty. They let the obstacle become a wall, and that wall becomes the end of their effort. But the wealthy don't stop there. They ask, is there a way around this? Is there something to learn here? Could this problem be pointing me toward a better path? That's a very different kind of thinking. Where some see a dead end, they see a detour to something better. Opportunity often wears the disguise of difficulty. It rarely shows up gift, wrapped, and convenient. More often, it looks like extra work, risk, or uncertainty. That's why most people miss it. They're looking for comfort, not for challenge. The wealthy have learned that discomfort is often the first sign you're standing near something valuable. They don't run from it, they investigate it. This doesn't mean they're reckless or ignore the dangers. They're realists. They see the risks clearly. But they weigh the risk against the potential reward, and if the odds make sense, they take action. They don't need the path to be perfectly clear before they move forward. They trust that clarity grows with progress. One reason the wealthy focus on opportunities is because they understand the power of attention. Whatever you focus on grows in your life. If you spend all your energy thinking about the problems, you magnify them. You start seeing more of them everywhere. But if you train your focus toward possibilities, your mind starts scanning for solutions and openings, even in the middle of setbacks. It's like tuning your inner radar to pick up the right signals. They also know that every problem someone has is an opportunity for someone else to solve it. The bigger the problem, the greater the value in solving it. Many fortunes have been made by people who simply ask, how can I help fix this? While everyone else was complaining about how bad things were. That's a habit anyone can develop, shifting from what's wrong to what can be done. It's easy to get stuck in obstacle thinking. The news, social media, and even our own conversations often revolve around what's going wrong. But opportunity thinkers train themselves to rise above the noise. They don't deny reality, but they refuse to be trapped by it. They keep a long-term perspective. While others are frozen by the temporary storm, they're preparing for the calm that follows and the chances it will bring. Another thing about the wealthy, they know timing matters. Opportunities don't stay open forever. They move quickly when they see the right one, even if they don't have all the answers. They trust their ability to figure things out along the way. That doesn't mean they say yes to everything. They're selective. But once they see a fit, they don't wait for permission. They act. Focusing on opportunities requires mental discipline. It's much easier to dwell on what's wrong than to search for what could go right. But this discipline pays in multiples because it trains your mind to see what most overlook. And in a world where value comes from solving problems and creating something useful, being able to spot opportunity is one of the most profitable skills you can have. So, start practicing. When a difficulty comes your way, ask yourself, what's the opportunity here? What could I gain or learn from this? Who could benefit if I solved it? Make that your habit. Over time, your reflex will shift. You'll stop being stopped by obstacles and start being fueled by them. The wealthy didn't get that way because they avoided problems. They got that way because they refused to let problems blind them to possibilities. And if you can adopt that same focus, you'll find that opportunities, big and small, have been sitting right in front of you all along, just waiting for someone to notice. Time is treated as the most valuable asset, never wasted. The wealthy understand something that most people overlook. Money can be lost and made again, but time, once gone, is gone forever. You can't earn it back, you can't borrow more, and you can't store it for later. Every day that passes is a deposit you can never refill. That's why they guard it so carefully. They know exactly what their time is worth. They don't trade hours for pennies. They measure every commitment, every meeting, and every activity against the return it brings. If it doesn't move them forward, financially, personally, or strategically, they think twice before saying yes. That doesn't mean they never relax or enjoy life. It means they choose their moments with intention. They understand the difference between rest that renews and distraction that wastes. For many people, time slips away without notice. A few minutes scrolling here, a few hours of meaningless conversation there, days spent on things that don't matter. But the wealthy count the cost. They ask, if I give this hour away, what will it return to me? Will it bring me closer to my goals or pull me away from them? And if the answer isn't clear, they protect that hour like gold. They also know that how you spend your time reveals your priorities, whether you admit it or not. You can say you value success, but if your calendar is full of low-value activities, your actions tell a different story. The wealthy align their schedule with their vision. They block time for the things that matter most: planning, learning, building relationships, creating value, and they fiercely defend those blocks. One of the reasons they seem to get so much done is because they eliminate the unnecessary. They delegate tasks that someone else can do so they can focus on what only they can do. They automate routines, streamline decisions, and avoid drama. They're not afraid to say no, even to good things, so they have room for the best things. They also move with a sense of urgency, not panic, but purpose. They know that opportunity has an expiration date. Waiting too long can mean missing the chance entirely. They'd rather act and adjust than hesitate and watch someone else take the prize. Another thing they do well is respect other people's time. They show up on time, keep meetings focused, and get to the point. They understand that when you waste someone else's time, you waste a part of their life. That kind of discipline earns them respect, trust, and often more opportunities. And while they are protective of their time, they're generous with it when it truly matters. They invest time in mentoring, in building key relationships, in experiences that align with their values. Because they know that time invested in the right places multiplies in ways money can't measure. Here's the thing: anyone can start treating time like the wealthy do. You don't need a big bank account to have a high respect for your hours. You just need to start seeing each day as a non-refundable gift. Ask yourself, if today were all I had, how would I spend it? What matters enough to make it onto my schedule? When you start thinking like that, your priorities will sharpen, and so will your results. Every hour you waste is an hour that could have been building your future. Every hour you invest wisely is a step toward the life you want. That's why the wealthy live by this principle: spend your money carefully, but spend your time even more carefully. Because in the end, your time is your life, and how you use it will determine the wealth you build, both in your bank and in your soul. Daily disciplined actions create lasting results. Success doesn't arrive in one grand gesture or a single lucky break. It's the result of small, consistent choices repeated day after day until they become second nature. The wealthy know this better than anyone. They understand that the habits you keep today will shape the life you live tomorrow. It's easy to get excited about a big goal, but excitement alone won't get you there. You can't go to the gym once and expect to be fit. You can't save money for a week and expect to retire wealthy. Lasting results are built brick by brick, and those bricks are the disciplined actions you take every single day. Discipline is what bridges the gap between intention and achievement. Most people have good intentions. They want more health, more wealth, more happiness. But wanting is cheap. Doing is rare. The wealthy don't just talk about what they're going to do. They follow through, even when the feeling fades. They've trained themselves to act whether they feel like it or not. Daily discipline is powerful because it compounds. The small efforts you put in today might not look like much, but over time, it builds into something massive. It's like planting seeds. You may not see anything sprout for a while, but if you keep watering, keep tending, the harvest will come. And when it does, it will be far greater than the tiny seeds you started with. The wealthy design their days around their priorities. They don't leave success to chance. They create routines that support their goals, and they guard those routines like treasure. Whether it's reading for 30 minutes, making key calls, working on their craft, or exercising, they make those actions non-negotiable. They know that skipping one day can easily turn into skipping two, and skipping two can turn into quitting altogether. Discipline isn't about doing huge things perfectly. It's about doing the right things consistently. Even on days when progress feels slow, they keep moving, because they understand that motion, however small, is better than standing still. And they trust that steady motion, over time, creates unstoppable momentum. They also recognize that discipline builds character. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, You strengthen your self-trust. You prove to yourself that you can be counted on. That kind of confidence spills over into every area of life, making you more decisive, more resilient, and more capable of handling challenges. Of course, discipline isn't glamorous. It's not as exciting as chasing the next big idea or waiting for a stroke of luck. It's often repetitive, even boring. But that's where the gold is. The repetition of meaningful actions is what sharpens your skills, deepens your knowledge, and positions you for the breakthroughs everyone else calls overnight success. The wealthy don't see discipline as a restriction, they see it as freedom. Because when you control your habits, you control your outcomes. You're not at the mercy of moods, distractions, or other people's agendas. You know exactly what to do each day, and you do it. That clarity is liberating. And here's the truth, discipline isn't something you're born with. It's something you develop. Anyone can start. You start with one habit, one commitment, and you keep it. Then you add another. Over time, those daily disciplines stack up until they become part of who you are. At that point, success isn't a matter of luck, it's inevitable. So if you want lasting results, don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait for the mood to strike. Start today with the smallest step you can commit to and repeat it tomorrow. Keep stacking those days, one on top of the other, until the weight of your discipline pushes you past the finish line. Because in the end, it's not what you do once in a while that changes your life. It's what you do every day. Small steps done consistently outweigh occasional big moves. Most people think success comes from a single bold leap, a massive decision, a dramatic change, a lucky break. But in reality, the foundation of achievement is built from tiny, almost invisible actions, repeated over and over until they stack so high they can't be ignored. Think about it. Someone decides to run a marathon. They could try to run 20 miles in one day to make progress, but that would only lead to exhaustion and injury. The smarter path is to run a mile today, another mile tomorrow, then slowly increase the distance. Over time, those small, consistent runs will carry them across the finish line. The same is true for building wealth, improving health, or mastering a skill. The problem is that big moves are exciting and small steps are not. Big moves give us a burst of adrenaline, a story to tell, a sense of quick accomplishment. But they're hard to sustain. The energy fades, the motivation wears off, and before long, you're back to where you started. Small steps don't give you fireworks, but they give you something more valuable: momentum. The wealthy understand the power of momentum. They know that even small forward progress each day creates a compounding effect. Just like money earns interest, daily effort earns results. 1 hour of learning a skill each day turns into hundreds of hours in a year. A few dollars invested regularly can grow into thousands over time. These results may seem slow at first, but they accelerate in ways that occasional big efforts can never match. Consistency also builds habits, and habits run deeper than motivation. Motivation comes and goes. It's emotional, unpredictable. Habits, once built, operate automatically. You don't have to talk yourself into brushing your teeth every morning. It's simply part of who you are. In the same way, small, consistent actions, making your calls, exercising, saving, studying, become part of your identity. You don't have to push yourself as hard once the habit takes root. Another advantage of small steps is that they're less intimidating. Big moves can create fear. The risk feels high, and fear often leads to procrastination. But a small step feels manageable, almost harmless. You can take it today without overthinking. And once you've taken one step, it's easier to take the next. Before you know it, you've covered more ground than you imagined possible. Small steps also allow you to adapt as you go. If you take one giant leap in the wrong direction, you might find yourself far from where you want to be. But when you move forward in smaller increments, you can make adjustments along the way. You can learn, pivot, and improve without losing everything you've built. The wealthy don't wait for the perfect moment to take action. They start with what they can do right now, no matter how small. They understand that starting creates energy, and energy fuels more action. They know that a small, consistent stream of effort will cut through the stone of obstacles faster than a few heavy blows scattered over years. It's the principle of the drip. A constant drip of water can wear away rock, while a sudden splash leaves no lasting mark. Your life's results are shaped by the drip. The repeated, steady, unglamorous actions that slowly transform your circumstances. So, if you want to achieve something worthwhile, don't get caught in the trap of waiting for a big move that will change everything overnight. Instead, commit to small steps taken daily and guard that commitment. Do them when it's boring. Do them when you're tired. Do them when no one's watching. Over time, those steps will build something so solid that not even setbacks can shake it. The truth is, Anyone can take one small step today, and if you can take it today, you can take it tomorrow. Keep stacking those steps, and eventually you'll look back and realize you've traveled miles, while others are still waiting for the right time to make their big move.